Act, be it resolved that the estimate of revenue and expenditure for the fiscal year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024 be approved. The Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, as this is a money motion, I wish to signal this Honourable House that I have the consent of the Governor-General to proceed. Mr. Speaker, in compliance with the Public Finance Management Act and regulations, the Fiscal Resilience Act and the Public Debt Management Act, I wish to advise the following reports are laid before this Honourable House. 1. The Medium-Term Economic and Fiscal Strategy Report 2024 to 2026, in accordance with Section 12A of the Public Finance Management Act, number 17 of 2015, as amended. 2. The Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy 2024 to 2026, in accordance with Section 5.1 to 5.3 of the Public Debt Management Act, number 28 of 2015, as amended. The following additional report is also laid. 1. The 2022 Annual Debt Report. Mr. Speaker, it is my distinct honor to present the budget address for the fiscal year 2024 to this Honourable House. Having assumed the critical role of Minister of Finance on April 28, 2023, this marks my inaugural budget address and the second for this new administration. This moment holds profound significance for me, as the Ministry of Finance is where my professional journey began many years ago. I wish to begin my presentation by thanking the Almighty God for His grace and mercies over this beautiful nation and for guiding me throughout my presentation today. I express immense appreciation to Prime Minister the Honourable Dickon Mitchell for the confidence reposed in me to lead the Ministry of Finance during a period of unprecedented opportunities and global challenges. Permit me also to thank my Cabinet colleagues and the staff of the Ministry of Finance, Infrastructure and Physical Development, Public Utilities, Civil Aviation and Transportation, alongside whom I had the distinct pleasure of working. I express profound appreciation and gratitude to my constituents in Patrick East for giving me the opportunity to represent and serve them in this Honourable House. It has been a learning, challenging and yet rewarding experience, and I look forward to continue to represent and serve them in the remaining years of the life of this Parliament. I speak specifically to the developments within the St. Patrick East constituency during the debate on the estimates of revenue and expenditure. Mr. Speaker, the strategic direction outlined by Her Excellency Dame Cecilia Grenade, Governor-General, in her throne speech on September 26, 2023, on the theme Forward into 50, reflecting on our past, solidifying our future, set the stage for the 2024 budget. Government's achievements. I will spend some time reflecting on the achievements of this administration since assuming office in June 2022. This is of critical importance in measuring the success of our very first budget delivered to this Honourable House, the theme which was building a solid foundation for people-centered transformation. Mr. Speaker, despite the naysayers, we have continued to steadfastly deliver on our bold promises to transform our beautiful nation. They said we could not implement twice monthly payments on salaries and pension. That we did. They said the government would not last 6 months. 18 months on, we are growing from strength to strength. They said we would derail the economy and public finances. Both are performing well beyond expectations. They said we could not mobilize resources as we were poorly managing the country. In the last 18 months, we have unlocked $612 million in concessional loans and grants for key strategic investment in healthcare, water and sanitation, education, and climate resilience. They said the economy would crash if we paid our deserving retirees their pension and gratuity. This we did and will continue to do so. We know that theirs was a blatant attempt to deny our retirees their pension and gratuity. They criticized the implementation of our free tuition program, which contributes towards ensuring that our future generation of Grenadians, our students, are not denied an education based on their economic status. This we will continue to do. They criticized the launch of WASH program aimed to ensure that every household in Grenada has access to indoor clean water and sanitation facilities by 2027. This we'll continue to do. They said we have done nothing to strengthen the health sector. We have upgraded health facilities, acquired critical equipment, increased human resource capacity, recommends the National Health Insurance Project, and secured 83.9 acres of land to develop our modern state-of-the-art medical and teaching hospital. This we will continue to do. They refuse to invest in agriculture. We have secured $27 million from the World Bank for a major agricultural food security enhancement project. Implementation of this project has commenced and will see significant acceleration in 2024. They said they love the poor and vulnerable, but we are the ones that remove the VAT on 19 basic food and other necessities, introduce an electricity subsidy for less fortunate households, lower the petrol tax on gas and diesel, and maintain existing safety nets. This we'll continue to do. They ignore the potential for our creatives. We'll launch a Creative Industries Symposium, Unleash, grant concessions to our creatives, and establish the Creative Economy Desk. We will continue to promote, support, and develop the creative economy. They call our policy to regularize the public service and end inhumane and discriminatory HR practices in the public service, lies and pies in the sky. We have begun the regularization of some 300 government employees holding temporary and probationary employment instruments, and will address the regularization of some of 1,754 government workers on various forms of contract by December 2024. This we will. Mr. Speaker, sir, clearly this administration has made significant strides in laying a solid foundation upon which we can build a better future. As we approach our 50th year of independence, the 2024 budget is designed to fortify this foundation, propelling our people-centered transformation. Our team, Grenada at 50, empowering our people, transforming our nation, underscores our firm commitment to the shared vision of a better Grenada for all. The 50th Jubilee Independence Celebration. Mr. Speaker, cheers to 50 years as our independent nation. We have a lot to be thankful for. The launch of our year-long 50th Jubilee Independence celebrations was nothing short of amazing. Our rich history, heritage, and the remarkable resilience of our people were brilliantly on display. As was the case of our premier cultural and creative industry symposium, Unleash, this administration unleashed and unveiled the creative energies of our people to rise above the ordinary and soar to greater heights. Mr. Speaker, the rest of the celebration holds great promises as we commemorate the past 50 years and embrace the next 50. The year-long celebrations, which is expected to have significant economic spill-off, should cost approximately $15 million, covering events and commemorative activities that will mark the significant milestone in our history. Some of the major events and activities we look forward to: the issuance of a 50th anniversary independence commemorative EC $50 note, the renaming of our national landmarks, the introduction of teaching of Grenadian history in our schools, the hosting of 21 events and 7 parish celebrations, including launch of the school mobile museum, Independence Monarch semifinals and finals, National Round Island Flag and Relay and Parish Sports, Gospel Concerts and Worship, Pan on the Carriacou Food Fest, National Sports Awards, the Governor General Gala, the St. Paul Independence and Extravaganza and Independence Expo Music Festival. An amount of $7 million is allocated to cover costs falling during 2024, Mr. Speaker. At the end of the celebrations, we'll undertake an economic impact assessment and publish the results. Mr. Speaker, we are indeed grateful to the National Organizing Committee for their talent and expertise in driving this important 50th anniversary celebration. Development of Grenada's hydrocarbon potential. Mr. Speaker, we have an obligation to this nation to explore our hydrocarbon potential, even while we diligently pursue renewable energy opportunities. To do otherwise would be a dereliction of our duty as leaders. To advance this agenda, we have already established a technical working group with a clear mandate to, among other key objectives, prepare a roadmap within the next 12 months for the exploration and exploitation of any potential oil and gas resources in our territory. Strengthening parliamentary representation. Mr. Speaker, we campaign on the issue of ensuring that parliamentary representatives are given adequate tools and resources to serve their constituents. Mr. Speaker, I am sure the nation would be shocked to be told that parliamentarians who are not cabinet ministers or who are opposition members of parliament only receives a basic parliamentary allowance of $1,474 per month, while a senator receives a basic parliamentary allowance of $852 per month. Mr. Speaker, a member of parliament who is a minister of government or member of the cabinet receives no allowance, no salary, absolutely no resources other than an office space as a member of parliament. Yet, Mr. Speaker, members of parliament are expected to meet and service the basic needs of their constituents without any resources to do so. This is clearly untenable. Mr. Speaker, the experience of other countries, even in our region, is vastly different, ranging from Dominican to Trinidad and Tobago to the Bahamas. Successful governments have shied away from addressing this issue. As members of this House, we should not continue to kick the can down the road for the next generation of parliamentarians. A review of the lack of resources provided to our parliamentarians, which hinders their ability to effectively carry out their duties to their constituency, is a matter that should not clearly get full support from all members of this honorable House. In this context, Mr. Speaker, this government is prepared to bring this matter before the Parliament for deliberation and decision of the House Committee to be guided by the Commonwealth Parliamentarians' Pay and Remuneration Survey Outcome Report 2020 to 2021, which provides a comprehensive survey of parliamentary salaries and allowance across the Commonwealth nations. For the payment of a parliamentary allowance for all members of Parliament and the introduction of a constituency provision for each elected members of Parliament. The members of this House, Mr. Speaker, if you are elected by your constituents to serve as the member of Parliament, you must be given some resources to serve your constituents. It should not be no other way. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we should propose a salary of $5,000 per month for each elected member of Parliament, irrespective of whether you are a member of the government or the opposition. Mr. Speaker, we shall propose a constituency provision of $120,000 per year for each elected member of Parliament, irrespective of whether you are a member of government or the opposition. We shall propose a salary of $3,500 to members of the Senate, irrespective of whether you are a government or opposition or independent appointed senator. Mr. Speaker, we also expect the House Committee to introduce a framework for adequate transparency and accountability in the management of any resources given to elected members of the House of Representatives to assist them in carrying out their service to their constituents. Macroeconomic and social context. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to the macroeconomic and social context in which the budget is presented. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 budget is set against a complex macroeconomic backdrop shaped by domestic and external factors. The global economy continues to recover, albeit weaker than originally expected. However, major uncertainties persist driven by ongoing geopolitical tensions and the lingering of the COVID-19 pandemic. Growth in our major trading partners, the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada, augurs well for the development in our economy. That said, the potential of significant downside risk, including supply chain disruptions, volatile and food and fuels prices, and natural hazard looms large, underscoring the importance of resilience in the face of global economic uncertainties. The contrasting landscape of opportunities and risks necessitate a careful recalibration of our macroeconomic and fiscal policies to mitigate this risk, protect our vulnerable citizens, and ensure the advancement of our transformative agenda. Mr. Speaker, on the domestic front, due to our strong economic management, Grenada has demonstrated impressive resilience in 2023. The economy is estimated to expand by 5.5% this year, 1.9 percentage points more than the 3.6% projected at roughly the same period last year, fueled mainly by the public and private sector construction and continued support and recovery in tourism. Mr. Speaker, inflation remains a challenge. However, inflationary pressures have eased, with headline inflation year-on-year in September declining from 3.1% in 2022 to 2.4% in 2023, held by government policy to keep price down, including the removal of value-added tax on basic food and other essentials items. Moreover, food inflation for the same period, albeit still elevated, fell from 7.3% to 6.8%. Mr. Speaker, data from the Central Statistics Office indicates that the unemployment situation has seen a massive improvement since the declaration of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020. The unemployment rate has fallen from a high of 28.4% in the second quarter of 2020 to an estimated just under 12% by the second quarter of this year. Youth unemployment, although still elevated, has also declined over the same period. The industries that employ the largest number of people were wholesale and retail trade, construction, agriculture, forestry, and fishing, and education. Mr. Speaker, the government fiscal position has significantly strengthened in 2023, and reducing the public debt vulnerabilities remained a priority. Furthermore, the fiscal sector remained stable and sound, and external stability was well anchored. Mr. Speaker, looking ahead, our macroeconomic indicators are expected to remain robust. In 2024, we project further strong economic growth of 3.6% and inflation to continue to ease towards the historical trend of 2%. Mr. Speaker, our policies and programs have spurred growth and the creation of sustainable jobs, empowered by our less fortunate citizens, and create the enabling environment for further macroeconomic and social progress. These achievements, Mr. Speaker, as recognized by reputable regional and international financial institutions, are testimonies of the correctness of our macroeconomic policies. Further details on the macroeconomic and social content for the 2024 budget is included in the medium-term economic and fiscal strategy report 2024 to 2026, which is laid together with the appropriation 2024 bill. I now wish to provide an update on some of the key initiatives announced in the 2023 budget. Update of some of the key initiatives: the new minimum wage. Mr. Speaker, on account of neglect and disregard for the less fortunate working class in our society by the prior administration, the minimum wage was not adjusted in over a decade. Many of our hard-working citizens were earning as little as $500 a month. As a caring and conscientious government committed to fostering economic justice and uplifting the lives of our citizens, we have taken decisive steps to rectify this unconscionable situation. Effective January 1st, 2024, we will implement a new minimum wage, taking a significant step towards a fair and just economic system. Mr. Speaker, the government has taken the lead by adjusting the minimum wage for several categories of workers, including security officers and cleaners. The progressive policy comes after extensive and widespread consultation across the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique to ensure a balanced approach for employees and employers. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, for the very first time, a basic minimum wage of $60 per day across all sectors will be introduced. Additionally, we will implement the equalization of the minimum wage across gender, a historical move towards ensuring that our women receive equitable compensation for their work as compared with men and vice versa. We wish to record our sincerest thanks to the Minister for Labour, Senator the Honourable Claudia Joseph, and the Minimum Wage Committee for their dedicated and high-quality work, which has played a pivotal role in shaping this impactful policy. Public sector pension reform. Mr. Speaker, the NDC administration is committed to sustainable wage bill management and to fostering a happy, optimistic, productive, efficient, and effective workforce. Key to achieving this is the issue of pension reform. Mr. Speaker, through discriminatory employment practices, including various types of contracts, a significant segment of government employees are without a public sector pension. This reform will address the injustice while ensuring that the pension of existing permanent employees is secured. I am pleased to announce that since the establishment of the Pension Review Committee in November of 2022, significant progress has been made in designing a new pension plan, considering key factors raised in consultation with stakeholders. The new defined contribution pension plan, which will now guarantee a pension for government workers who previously did not qualify for a pension, will become effective in the first half of next year. A sum of $1.6 million has been allocated to government contributions to the new pension plan. Mr. Speaker, in the same vein, we wish to record our thanks to the Pension Review Committee, Public Service Modernization. Mr. Speaker, recognizing the pivotal role of the public service, government is committed to human capacity development and employee well-being. This is no secret that when we assumed office, the public service morale was at an all-time low. Our philosophy is that there is no need for a parallel public service. In other words, there is no need for two employees to be doing the same type and level of work under totally different terms of engagement. We remain committed to fulfilling our promise to regularize the public service by ending discriminatory HR practices and policies. In July 2023, the Cabinet approved the Public Service Regulation Strategy Framework and accompanying guidelines for the appointment on a definitive basis in the public service to guide the regularization of government workers, including workers and imanis. Under this framework, the following is expected. Phase 1, approximately 300 employees will be confirmed by the Public Service Commission, PSC, by December of this year, consisting of officers who are temporary, on probation, on assignment. Phase 2, approximately 1,754 workers to be considered for regularization by December of 2024, consisting of workers holding PSC contracts, government-agreed contract, ministry letters, and daily paid instruments. Phase 3, approximately 3,326 workers to be considered for the regularization by December of 2025, consisting of workers holding contracts for service and imanis. Of necessity, Mr. Speaker, regularization will be based on approved objectives criteria. I am pleased to report that as I speak, a substantial number of workers have been already receiving their new letters of appointment. Mr. Speaker, while some may say it could not be done, we are demonstrating how it is done. Reform of the Marketing and National Importing Board, MNIB. Mr. Speaker, this administration has made good progress in fixing the mess that was created by the former administration at the MNIB. Let us not forget the operational and financial problems that we inherited. MNIB could not pay its staff their salaries. They were taking farmers' goods and not paying for them. What a shame. Contributions to the NI staff pension and other creditors were not being met on a timely basis. The bank had served notice to foreclose the Park House property located at River Road. Mr. Speaker, this is what the former administration left in its wake: a bankrupt, failed organization, not even meeting its basic mandate. There are those who would like to play political football with the MNIB and many other important matters. But it is not the policy of this government to preside over failure. We have taken a decisive action to not only address the short-term challenges of MNIB, but also to address the longer-term challenges of storage, transportation, marketing, and exportation of our agricultural and agro-processed product. After widespread consultation, we have made the prudent decision to transition out of MNIB into a largely private sector-led entity. The reform of MNIB was the best option. Mr. Speaker, the reform of the MNIB is progressing reasonably well. As I speak, the following has been realized: the successful refinancing of approximately $5 million of MNIB debt on more favorable terms and conditions, realizing hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings to taxpayers. The settlement of claims to MNIB by MNIB third-party creditors, including farmers and agro-processors, to the tune of $2 million. The settlement of all claims to MNIB staff, including NIS and pension contribution. The receipt of the first draft of the framework for the establishment of a new private sector-led entity. Mr. Speaker, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the new entity will be fully operational by June of 2024. So, Mr. Speaker, while they talk, we do. Amnesty. Mr. Speaker, to support the twin objectives of implementing a new modern tax information system with updated tax records and providing relief to taxpayers in the post-COVID era, we implemented a tax amnesty program. The amnesty has been broadly successful, resulting in additional revenue collections of $23.2 million as at the end of November 2023. Some 6,319 taxpayers benefited from the amnesty. I take this opportunity to strongly encourage all delinquent taxpayers to come forward and settle your arrears before the amnesty expires at the end of December of this year. New tax system. Mr. Speaker, government will roll out the first phase of the new tax system in January of 2024. The Grenada tax, as it would be called, will allow for online filing and payment of the value-added tax, or VAT, the corporate income tax, and the pay-as-you-earn payee tax. The second phase will see the rollout of another tax type, such as property tax, stamp duty, and business licenses, will take place in the last quarter of 2024. Mr. Speaker, we are excited about the new tax system as it aims to improve the tax experience by leveraging technology and innovation. Mr. Speaker, in the context of the implementation of the new tax system, the Inland Revenue Department will ramp up its enforcement of tax arrears, guided by the provisions of the Tax Administration Act, including implementation of the following: the requirement for tax clearance certificate for accessing loans, transfer of property, receipt of government contracts, and other such services, liens and garnishment and offsetting of tax against payments for government services. A risk-based approach will be taken, starting with the largest outstanding amounts. Strengthen fiscal resilience. Mr. Speaker, our fiscal strategy seeks to ensure the necessary fiscal space for implementing our transformative agenda, while simultaneously ensuring fiscal and debt sustainability. Our decision to repeal and replace the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2015 with the Fiscal Resilience Act 2023, aimed at simplifying and fortifying our rules-based fiscal framework, has received high praise from the IMF and other international financial institutions. The deposit of 10% of the National Transformation Fund receipt into a contingency or rainy day fund under the National Transformation Regulation has been highly commended. As of the 30th of November 2023, an amount of $19 million has been lodged with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECB, in that fund. Mr. Speaker, it is intrusive to note that the former administration willfully and openly ignored the law by not putting a dime into the contingency fund, while giving the false impression that 40% of all NTF receipts were being set aside, and yet they criticized our effort to operationalize this fund. How misleading and deceitful is this? This administration will continue to take bold steps to strengthen our fiscal resilience. Review of the incentive regime. Mr. Speaker, the government established a committee to review the current incentive regime and to better support economic activity and job creation consistent with our vision to transform Grenada. The committee is currently conducting broad-based consultation to help inform the recommendations to this cabinet. The review is expected to be completed during the first quarter of 2024. Year 2, building upon the solid foundation laid. Mr. Speaker, our first budget to this esteemed House focused on laying a solid foundation for sustainable progress for all. Just as a master builder ensures a building endurance through a solid foundation, so too we have embarked on our journey. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that we have made remarkable progress thus far. I will go further by making the bold pronouncement that what we have accomplished in many instances in just 1.5 years, the prior administration could not accomplish in 2 decades. The bi-monthly payments of salaries and restoration of public officers' pension are prime example. The strategic focus of our second budget will be on fortifying and expanding the strong foundation that we have laid, ensuring that long-term visions for Grenada remains firmly entrenched. Mr. Speaker, I turn to the estimates of revenue and expenditure and the specific areas of intervention for 2024. Estimates of revenue and expenditure for 2024. Overview. Mr. Speaker, this administration continues to put people's best interests at the center of its policies. In prioritizing the engagement of our citizens in this important aspect of our country's governance, we actively involve our people in widespread consultations on the 2024 budget. The resulting policies, projects, and programs reflect the valuable insight provided by our citizens of our tri-island states. I wish to record my sincere thanks to our citizens, both home and in diaspora, who embrace our participatory approach to governance and share your ideas and suggestions with us in helping to shape the 2024 budget. Mr. Speaker, as was the case with our first budget, the second budget sets our country and our citizens on a path forward towards resilience, empowerment, and growth. It provides for a total expenditure, including principal repayment, of $1,656,356,499. The overall budget summary is as follows. Recurrent revenue, $1.2 billion. Total grants, $104.6 million. Recurrent expenditure, $901.4 million. Capital expenditure, $419.5 million. Current account surplus, $315.4 million. Principal repayment amortization, $335.5 million. Primary surplus after grants, $57.2 million. Overall surplus after grants, $0.6 million. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 budget is consistent with the Fiscal Resilience Act, which is a testament of this administration's commitment to fiscal prudence and the sustainability of public finances. As a practical example, the average wage bill for the next 3 years is not expected to exceed 10% of GDP, compared to the ceiling of 13% in the Fiscal Resilience Act. Allocations. Mr. Speaker, in terms of strategically significant investment by sectors, we plan to invest heavily in the following critical areas. 1, in the area of health and wellness, we have allocated a sum of $117.9 million, an increase of $3 million 3.7 million compared to the 2023 allocation. This is a new record in terms of the highest allocation for the health sector in the history of this country. In education, youth, sports, and culture, we have allocated a sum of 240.5 million compared to the 193.9 million allocated in 2023. A massive increase of 46.6 million. Again, the highest allocation to the education, sports, and culture budget in the history of Grenada. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 49.2 million to the Agriculture Ministry, a significant increase from the 39.4 million in 2023. It is instructive to note that allocations of 49.2 million does not include provisions for the Climate Smart Agriculture and Enterprise Development Project, 7.8 million, the Grenada Climate Adaptation Project, 0.8 million, and the Agriculture Feeder Rule Project, 7 million. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, the total allocation for the sector in 2024 is closer to 64.8 million. Mr. Speaker, this administration is walking the walk when it comes to investing and transforming the agricultural sector and promoting food and nutrition security. To support our infrastructure development, we have allocated the sum of 136.1 million, which falls among the top 5 allocations overall. Mr. Speaker, we plan to invest the substantial sum of 80.3 million to bolster our housing, social, community, and gender initiatives in 2024, an increase of 16.2 million over the 2023 allocation. To bolster citizen safety and national security, we intend to invest in our national security architect, including the Ministry of National Security, the prisons, and police service, a combined total of 121.5 million, an increase of 31.6 million relative to 2020. Mr. Speaker, these allocations are indeed substantial and well targeted. The focus areas are strategically aligned to moving Grenada forward as we begin our journey for the next 50 years. Financing of our 2024 budget. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that the 2024 budget is fully financed. Details on the financing of the 2024 budget can be found on page 1 of the memorandum to the 2024 estimates of revenue and expenditure. Thematic areas. Mr. Speaker, I will now turn to the specific areas of intervention underpinning the 2024 budget aimed at advancing our people-centered transformation. These interventions will be presented under 4 broad thematic areas, namely human development, promoting robust economic growth and job creation, promoting good governance, and enhance climate resilience, environmental sustainability, and renewable energy. Thematic area 1, human development. Mr. Speaker, our government is firmly committed to human development, recognizing it as the cornerstone of our nation's progress. Our strategic aim is to empower our people, boost their productivity, and ultimately equip them to adapt to an ever-changing dynamic future. In this context, Mr. Speaker, allow me to expound on government policies, projects, and programs in the following key areas: health and wellness, education and skills development, youth empowerment, sports and culture, gender equity, housing, social and community empowerment, social protection, and safety nets. Advancing our health and wellness agenda. Mr. Speaker, the transformation of our health system will be a legacy of this administration. These are not idle words, even while we recognize the enormity of the challenge that is before us. It is no secret that we inherited a badly broken health system. We remain fully committed to our philosophy of transforming Grenada into the healthcare capital of the Eastern Caribbean, recognizing that it's a key pillar of a modern advanced society. In just under 2 years, we have made significant progress in addressing the many challenges facing the health sector, strengthening human capital resource capacity. Mr. Speaker, chief among the challenges facing the sector is human resources. In the last year, we have taken proactive steps to tackle this challenge including hiring of additional doctors, nurses, and other health professionals, and providing an honorarium of $6,000 to motivate our nurses, while working hard to address the more long-term challenge of staff regularization and training. Mr. Speaker, while government continues to diligently tackle the long-term HR challenges, the Cabinet has agreed to extend the honorarium of $500 per month for the nurses for a further 12 months, effective January 2020, and to provide an honorarium of $1,000 per month to doctors for the same period. A sum of $4.2 million has been allocated for this purpose. Upgrading health facilities. Mr. Speakers, we have undertaken major upgrades to our health facilities to support primary health care, including at the Hillsborough Smart Health Center, Victoria Medical Station, the Princess Royal and Alice Hospitals, and the Westall and Good Hope Medical Stations. Mr. Speaker, we will pursue the upgrading of several additional facilities in 2024, including Sates Health Center, Granville Medical Station, the Monkridge Medical Station, the New Hampshire Medical Station, and repairs to the operating theater. Building our new medical and technical hospital and teaching hospital. Mr. Speaker, a key pillar of our health transformation agenda is the construction of our health complex, the first phase of which is a modern state-of-the-art hospital with teaching facilities through leveraging public and private partnership. In the past year, we have taken a major step towards in advancing this important project. Specifically, we have secured 83.9 acres of land at the Calivini Estate at a cost of $36 million as a site for the build-out of this initiative. Mr. Speaker, the completion of the new hospital is expected to take 36 months. A sum of $7.5 million is allocated for the preparatory works, including architectural and engineering designs. Mr. Speaker, to ensure successful implementation of this critical project, the government intends to secure services of professional advisory, project management, and backstopping support, as well as technical assistance from our regional and international partners. In this regard, a request has already been made to the World Bank for technical assistance. Advancing National Health Insurance, NHI. The establishment of a national health insurance system is another pivotal pillar in our comprehensive transformation agenda for healthcare in our tri-island states. A national health insurance program will support government philosophy to provide universal health care service, ensuring that our citizens, including less fortunate, can receive high-quality medical attention without financial barriers. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that a contract was signed effectively 1st November 2023 with a Grenadian neurosurgeon and his team to implement phase 1 of the national health insurance in the state of Grenada. The go-live date for the inauguration of the national health insurance is 24 months. That is by November 2025. Work is in fact started and will be guided by stakeholders, consultation, and key milestones. A sum of $3.5 million has been budgeted for the restart of the National Health Insurance Project. Promoting mental wellness. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that the Health Sector Strengthening Project, with funding support from the Caribbean Development Bank, has started. The strategic aim of this project is to address mental illness and substance abuse in the post-pandemic era. An allocation of $2 million has been made for this project in 2024. Transforming education and skills development. Mr. Speaker, we will remain laser-focused on enhancing education and skills development as the bedrock of the 21st century workforce. Building on the many achievements in this area in the past year, we will redouble our efforts on curriculum reform, vocational training, resilient infrastructure, technology, and education financing. Promoting skills and innovation. Mr. Speaker, in the 2023 budget, we announced a major initiative, the OECS Skill and Innovation Project, to be supported through a concessional loan from the World Bank of $15 million, with the strategic aim of addressing the current skill mismatch that exists between the school system and the job market. Funding approval is expected from the World Bank this month. These funds will be used to strategically strengthen capacity at TAMCC and NULO to deliver high-quality academic programs tailored to the Caribbean reality, which will ultimately contribute to research and innovation that supports local development. The project will also include an innovation grant component to be administered by the small business arm of the Grenada Investment Development Corporation. An amount of 0.7 million has been allocated in 2024 for the start of this project. Mr. Speaker, to support entrepreneurship among our young people and to position our citizens more broadly at the vanguard of the 21st century, we will continue to expand opportunities for the proliferation of digital skills in areas such as coding and multimedia. An allocation of 0.8 million has been allocated in the 2024 budget for the expansion of the coding programs in school. Mr. Speaker, more details of this important project will be provided during the budget debate. Resilient school infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, we continue to make good progress in transforming our school infrastructure, making them more student-friendly and resilient. Under the Caribbean Development Bank supported Grenada Education and Enhancement Project, GIP Phase 1 and 2, construction works on several schools will continue to start, including the Bishop College in Carriacou, the St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School, the Grenada Christian Academy in Paul St. Andrew. The contract for the construction of the Grenada Christian Academy was signed last month, and work is expected to start early in the year at a total cost of $27.4 million. Furthermore, I'm pleased to report that we are on the verge of securing US $22 million from the CDB, which will see the start of construction on the St. David's Roman Catholic School, the rehabilitation of St. Joseph Convent, Grenville, and the J.W. Fletcher Catholic Secondary School, including the procurement of school furniture. Civil works are expected as early as the first quarter of 2024. Added to that, the last week we received the good news from the Global Partnership for Education, GPE, has approved Grenada expression of interest for a grant in the amount of US $5 million as an additional co-financing for these school projects. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, with funding from the National Transformation Fund, work on the St. Giles and the Florida Government School will commence next year. A sum of $6.5 million is provided for the school infrastructure enhancement project. Access to education. Mr. Speaker, access to education has lifted many of us out of the clutches of poverty. We introduced our free tuition policy to NULO and TAMCC, and we will broaden the scope of our free tuition program in 2024. An allocation of $3 million has been made for the expansion of this program. Free school meals. We'll remove the requirement for our school children to pay $1 for the primary school meal in the primary schools and $3 in secondary school to ensure that our school children are guaranteed a nutritious and healthy meal while in school. Mr. Speaker, this initiative will save parents an estimated $2.7 million on top of the $3 million saved on tuition fees. Other key policies. We will amend the Education Act to increase the school living age to 18 years to take effect in the new school year in September 2023. B, implement the TPEC policy and strategy, and C, launch the CSEC reimbursement program, and amend the early childhood and special education needs policy, among others. Prioritizing our youth. Reimagining the Imani's program. Mr. Speaker, reimagining the Imani program remains one of our top priorities, guided by research and stakeholders' engagement. A major component of our refocus of the program is to provide more industry-ready training opportunities in areas such as communication, technology, ICT, the creative and entertainment industry, and tourism and hospitality. That will lead to sustainable employment and improved livelihoods. Regularization of the Imanis. Mr. Speaker, A major commitment of this administration to regularize the Imanis into sustainable jobs. Like many other promises we have made and have fulfilled, this is also one we will intend to honor. The regularization of Imanis will be part of the third phase of the regularization strategy slated for 2025. As an interim step, Mr. Speaker, we will grant all Imanis working in the public service employment contracts. We will change a minimum stipend of $700 per month and pay them a minimum salary of $1,200 per month. At an additional cost of $14 million. Furthermore, government will meet the employer contribution to the National Insurance Scheme for all government employees, including all Imanis who will be granted employment contracts. Mr. Speaker, to all the Imanis, contrary to their lies, this government is not sending you home or getting rid of you, but instead, providing you with $14 million and your NIS contribution moving closer to security of tenure. Mr. Speaker, we are not giving the Imani one for the road, but we are giving them their future. Mr. Speaker, government will strongly encourage and support the private sector member and businesses that have benefited from the Imanis program to make all Imanis working with them full-time employees and to adopt a similar approach as the government. Improving sports infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, as part and parcel of our national sports policy, this administration taking decisive steps to provide quality sporting infrastructure for our sportsmen and women. In this context, Mr. Speaker, we'll undertake the relaying of the track at the Kimani James Athletic Stadium and for the refurbishment of the National Cricket Stadium as two major initiatives. With respect to the latter, the lighting of the National Stadium to facilitate night cricket will be undertaken. Promoting gender equality. Mr. Speaker, our vision for Grenada is a united and inclusive one. We'll continue to prioritize gender equality, recognizing as a fundamental cornerstone a just and progressive society. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to roll out our gender-responsive budgeting by incorporating gender consideration in our policies and program. The 2024 gender budget statement will be laid in the Parliament in January of 2024. Grenada Spotlight Initiative. Mr. Speaker, grant support provided by United Nations Agency for the Spotlight Initiative, which targeted ending family violence and all forms of violence against women, has dried up. Government wishes to record its thanks to the UNDP for the most gracious assistance to cover the past years. Given the importance of tackling this issue, government has made provision for the continuation of this initiative from local resources. Emphasizing housing, social and community development. Mr. Speaker, housing, social and community development issues are major concerns of this administration. Allow me to elaborate a few of these issues. In the area of housing, Project 500, Mr. Speaker, this flagship housing program will support the construction of 500 Grenada-style houses through leveraging private partnership. The Cabinet has given Housing Authority of Grenada the mandate to drive this program. An allocation of $9 million is provided for the acceleration of this program in 2024. The Grenada Home Improvement and Resilience Project. Mr. Speaker, the demand for basic housing in Grenada far outstrips the availability. The sum of $14 million is allocated for the continuation of the provisions of material assistance and to support the WASH program. Mr. Speaker, the Water Access and Sanitation in Homes, or WASH program, was launched in St. David's in October of this year. This program is a signature partnership between government, NGOs, private businesses, donor communities, and community group, and volunteers, with a strategic aim of providing households facing financial challenge in Grenada with access to clean running water and adequate sanitation facilities by 2027. the China Aid Affordable Housing Unit. Mr. Speaker, we reiterate our thanks to the government and people of the People's Republic of China for the gracious donation of the Affordable Housing Unit. We have almost completed the retrofitting of the 647 units that are available for distribution at a cost of $3.2 million. We have started distribution of these housing units this month. Community development. Mr. Speaker, we have taken the decision to ramp up community development activities to build stronger and more inclusive community. Accordingly, we have increased the community self-help initiative from $250,000 to $6 million, which factors in a restructuring of the Special Project Program. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that the Special Projects Program was moved from the Prime Minister's office to the Ministry with responsible community development in 2023 budget. More details of these various initiatives to be covered by the community development allocation will be provided during the debate. Supporting social resilience. Mr. Speaker, this government underscores its commitment to uplifting and protecting our less fortunate citizens while simultaneously helping to reduce social vulnerabilities and more broadly. Allow me to elaborate on some of the key ways in which the government is supporting social resilience. Reform of support for educational enhancement and development SEED program. Mr. Speaker, it's no secret that we inherited a SEED program that was badly administered and poorly targeted. Our decision to undertake a recertification of the program was well warranted. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that the Cabinet has approved for SEED beneficiaries who are 65 years and older, and for SEED beneficiaries with physical disabilities or who are differently able, or those with mental illness, a permanent increase of $200 per month to take effect from January 2024. Mr. Speaker, this administration gave real and permanent increases, not temporary ones as election gimmicks close to an election. The allocation for the SEED program for 2024 is $21 million. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, we have completed the development of the cashless system of payment for SEED beneficiaries, and the new system will take effect from January 24. No longer will our retirees or SEED beneficiaries be able to stay in long lines at the Treasury or elsewhere in the country to be able to collect their benefits. National Insurance Scheme. Mr. Speaker, this administration has taken the bold and prudent decision which past administration failed to take to bolster the long-term sustainability of the National Insurance Scheme. Further details on the reforms to strengthen the NIS will be outlined in the budget debate. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to the second of the four thematic areas. Thematic area number 2, robust economic growth and job creation. Mr. Speaker, a robust economy delivering sustainable jobs is a bedrock of a thriving society. Through social, economic, and management innovative policies and sustained investment in existing and new sectors, we aim to transform our economy and people to not only adapt to the changes of tomorrow, but to thrive in an ever-changing global landscape. Our strategy places strong emphasis on private sector-led approaches, complemented by proactive government policies. I will expound on this collaborative framework in the following areas: agriculture, food and nutrition security, tourism and hospitality, the creative economy, digital transformation, private sector development, the blue economy, agricultural, food and nutrition security. Mr. Speaker, improving Grenada's food security has never been more urgent. Global disruptions such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian war in Ukraine, paired with climate change, continue to negatively impact the production costs of food and the efficiency of food supply chains the world over. Food Security Enhancement Project. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to announce that this major initiative is well underway and will see serious acceleration during 2024. This 27 million World Bank supported project will provide direct support to farmers and fisher folks, thereby reducing the reliance on food imports and cutting food costs. Key components include increasing production, support for crops, livestock, poultry, and fisheries, providing equipment and training, promoting sustainable agricultural practices, establishing central storage centers, and improving farm road access. An amount of 9 million has been allocated for this project in 2024. Development of the cannabis industry. Mr. Speaker, we remain firmly committed to diversifying our economic base and in finding new modes of economic growth and transformation. In this regard, we are moving ahead with our plans to legalize and decriminalize cannabis to support the exploitation of the plant for medicinal purposes. New legislation to advance this agenda is expected to come on stream during the first quarter of 2024. Other major initiatives. Mr. Speaker, in addition to the Food Security Enhancement Project, there are several other major initiatives supported by the transformation of the agricultural sector. This includes the Youth in Agriculture Project, the Spice Replanting Project, the Support to Agriculture Processing and Support to Poultry Initiative, among others, with a combined allocation of roughly 10 million will be implemented in 2024. Enhancing the tourism and hospitality sector. Mr. Speaker, the tourism and hospitality sector has been one of the major drivers of economic recovery in the last year, propelled largely by our prudent policies, including improvement in ELIF and marketing and promotion. Ease of travel. Mr. Speaker, in 2023, we removed embarkment cards for passengers leaving our shores and installed kiosks at our airports. We will implement ED cards and online ED cards in the first quarter of 2024. Marketing and promotion. Mr. Speaker, in April of the next year, government will host the state-of-the-art tourism industry conference in the Caribbean, which will be a major boost to our marketing promotion efforts. Promoting yachting. Mr. Speaker, earlier this year, we agreed to collaborate with the authorities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the development of the yachting sector. This agreement covers a single shared space between the two countries, wherein both governments are willing to collaborate for the express purpose and intend to elevate the yacht charter experience for all our visitors and to share revenues collected for border clearance. Increase ELIF. Mr. Speaker, one of the drivers of the robust recovery in the tourism and hospitality sector is improved ELIF. We recently secured direct ELIF out of Boston, USA, and to add to the many additional flights to Grenada. We will bolster our efforts to increase ELIF capacity to the island. As part of this strategy, the Grenada Tourism Authority will be given or will receive $5 million in subvention for the ELIF support. Mr. Speaker, a major development in the signing of ELIF service agreement with the Gulf states of Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. We intend to do so with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to expand travel for tourism and businesses between Grenada and the Middle East. Product enhancement, diversification, and development. Mr. Speaker, the current piecemeal approach to management and operation of our tourism sites limit our product offering and does not complement our ELIF and other targeted initiatives to boost tourism. In 2024, we will undertake a comprehensive review of the current framework and adopt a more efficient and systematic approach to the management and operation of these sites, including leveraging private sector participation. Tourism competitiveness project. Mr. Speaker, thanks to our efforts, the funding for the rehabilitation of the Fort George restoration and the rejuvenation of our undersea sculpture park at Molyneux was saved. Mr. Speaker, you will recall this is one of the projects that we inherited from the past administration that was 6 years old with an implementation rate of less than 10%. Mr. Speaker, in an impressively short time span, we moved the implementation rate to 60.5%. Work is progressing smoothly on the restoration and the rehabilitation of Fort George, and the new sculptures depicting our rich history and culture have been laid at the Molinier Undersea Museum, advancing the development of the creative economy. Establishment of the Creative Industries Development Fund. Mr. Speaker, we have made significant strides in developing the creative industries as a new and exciting pillar of economic growth and job creation. The Cultural and Creative Industries Symposium hosted earlier this year, which brought creative together to showcase the talent, was a major success. The establishment of the Office of Creative Affairs and the introduction of a tax relief package to incentivize entrepreneurship and growth in this sector were also important achievements. One of the many initiatives in the 2024 is the full rollout of the Creative Industries Development Fund, which was launched last Friday with an initial capitalization of $2 million. The fund will provide soft loans, grants, and vouchers to creatives. Digital transformation. Mr. Speaker, lest we forget, Grenada held the position of ICT lead for Carriacou for many years. Regrettably, we have nothing to show for it. Mr. Speaker, in just under 2 years, we have made significant progress in implementing our digital transformation program. Mr. Speaker, in the 2024 budget cycle, we'll advance the following strategic areas under the digital transformation program. We'll work to digitalize the application process for passports and other certificates from the Home Office Department, such as birth and death certificates and other government services, thereby reducing the time and cost for accessing these services. Continue to work with our internet service providers to establish a network of free Wi-Fi, wireless access area points in every community, school, government office, tourism site, and recreational park. The expansion of education and training in coding and other critical IT skills. Mr. Speaker, more information on our achievements and detailed plans for the digital transformation will be provided during the budget debate. Promoting private sector development. Mr. Speaker, our dedication to positioning the private sector as the lead sector in driving economic activity and job creation is not rhetoric, but a tangible commitment backed by concrete actions and strategic initiatives. Allow me to highlight some of the key initiatives. Development of the former Kawana Bay project site. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that when we assumed office in June of 2022, Grenada faced an arbitration claim for more than $100 million US from the developers of the Kawana Bay project. The project site was closed and abandoned with no work taking place. Mr. Speaker, this administration has successfully negotiated the amicable settlement of this claim and acquired the freehold interest in the property for only $22 million US, paving the way for the continued development of this site starting next year. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that the government has closed an agreement with the Joya de Caribes developers of Silver Sand for the lease, yes, lease, not sale, of the site for the development of a 5-star hotel to be completed within the next 36 months. This development will add significant hotel room to our current stock and creating hundreds of sustainable jobs. The payment structure involves a US $8 million cash payment to the Treasury and the relinquishing of leasehold interest in Riviera site adjacent to the Cameron Park. Mr. Speaker, this is a major accomplishment of this government. The Riviera site will be named Heroes Park and be developed according in honor of our heroes home and abroad. Mr. Speaker, contrast this to the outright sale of the Kawana Bay site by the former administration in the critical tourist belt. A clearly unpatriotic policy by the former administration, which not only robs us from our patrimony, but retards the development of our important tourism sector. Mr. Speaker, this administration hereby reiterates its commitment to protecting our patrimony so that future generations of Grenadians can continue to benefit from the courage, hard work, resilience, and success of our people. Growth and development in the hotel sector. Mr. Speaker, Grenada is on the verge of a major boost in the growth and development of our hotel sector, marked by a significant increase in high-quality hotel rooms and the generation of sustainable tourism jobs. Mr. Speaker, permit me to briefly add some of these developments. Six Senses Resort. Mr. Speaker, this 100-room hotel development in Las Vegas is scheduled to open in May of 2024. Between 350 and 400 jobs were generated during the construction phase. Some 194 permanent jobs will be created during the operational phase. Silver Sands Beach Resort. This 30-room resort development in Point Selene will be open next Monday, the 11th of December 2023, creating approximately 72 permanent jobs. Mr. Speaker, this hotel is in the process of acquiring lands and will embark on further expansion of the hotel in 2024. Mr. Speaker, construction works on several other projects, including Intercontinental Resort in Las Vegas, St. Davis, and the Port Louis expansion in Langan Road are expected to accelerate in 2024. Added to that, Mr. Speaker, upgrade and renovation works at the Spice Island Beach Resort were also completed recently. Finally, Mr. Speaker, of significant note is the planned commencement of the redevelopment of the old St. George University site on Grandins Beach into a major hotel development. Mr. Speaker, these and other projects will add significant high-quality hotel rooms, generating significant economic activity and thousands of sustainable jobs. Expansion of stimulus for non-priority sectors. Mr. Speaker, early this year, we launched an incentive package on selected building materials, equipment, capital goods, and other critical input for non-priority sectors projects to drive economic activity and jobs. These concessions are tied to the review of the current incentive regime alluded to earlier. Several major projects are benefiting from this initiative, including CTEC development in St. Andrews and the Rams project at the Lansepine Grand Anse intersection in St. George. Mr. Speaker, this stimulus package will be extended to June of next year and upon completion of the review of the incentive regime, whichever is sooner. Support to the MSME development. Mr. Speaker, we reiterate the critical importance of supporting the creation of a new micro, small, and medium enterprise and the expansion of existing ones in delivering sustainable jobs throughout the state of Grenada. Mr. Speaker, we firmly believe that there are critical synergies to be exploited between the Grenada Investment Development Corporation and the Development Bank. These include leveraging the significant asset of the GIDC to raise financing to better promote a vibrant private sector. In this regard, we will initiate a comprehensive study to guide the merger of the two entities aimed at catalyzing private sector-led and tourism transformation. To support this objective, the following areas will be pursued in 2024. Injection of $2.0 million in equity into the Grenada Development Bank to support the bank in raising capital. The extension of the concession regime for MSME for a further period of 12 months to December 2024. The provision of competitive matching innovation grants up to $30,000 US per beneficiaries through the Grenada Investment Development Corporation as part of the OECD Skill and Innovation Project. The provision of grant financing to farmers through the Grenada Development Bank as part of the challenging grant component of the GCRUISE project. 245 farmers are expected to benefit from the grant financing to support irrigation, water storage, and construction of shade houses at a cost of $6.8 million. The provision of grant financing by the Ministry of Agriculture to support young farmers through the Carriacou Development Fund supported Youth in Agriculture initiative. Facilitating exports. Mr. Speaker, increasing exports while reducing our dependence on imports is crucial to building economic and social resilience and sustainability. Government continues to pursue actions to address our export-import imbalances, such as strengthening the Grenada Bureau of Standards to facilitate outside marketing access and enhance the competitiveness of our Grenada food export. Mr. Speaker, recognizing the ever-challenging dynamics of the global market, in 2024, government will develop a new national export strategy with a strategic aim of redefining and revitalizing Grenada's approach to international trade. Strengthening Citizenship by Investment program. Mr. Speaker, Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program has evolved over the years, becoming a significant contributor to the government revenues, tourism, and job creation. Our program continues to be one of the best with deeply entrenched, robust due diligence process. In 2024, we will continue to pursue strategies to mitigate risks to the following program. Currently, we are actively examining the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, November 2023 report, and will take the necessary actions to implement the recommendations in the report. This will aid the strengthening of the design, implementation, and oversight of the program. Some of the recommendations have already been implemented in our CBI program. The blue economy. Mr. Speaker, recognizing the tremendous potential to diversify our economy by leveraging our ocean resources, we will pursue, among other key initiatives, the following three key deliverables in 2024. The establishment of a Blue Economy Secretariat to effectively streamline and guide the blue economy development activities. 2, the finalization of the National Ocean Policy to provide a strategic roadmap to guide the sustainable use and management of our marine resources. And 3, the establishment of Integrated Coastal Zone Management Unit to ensure compliance with the 2019 Coastal Zone Act. Thematic area number 3, promoting good governance. Mr. Speaker, good governance is a necessary condition for the overall well-being and prosperity of our nation. This government stands by its commitment to raise the quality of life for all Grenadians, and we intend to do so in a just and sustainable manner. Under Pillar 3, I will speak to the following priority areas: prudent economic management, public service transformation, labor relations, oversight of state bodies, the judiciary, citizen safety and national security, Carriacou and diplomatic affairs, foreign policy. Prudent economic management. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding being called young and inexperienced, we have managed the Grenadian economy with distinction. In a release published by the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, about 2 weeks ago, following a staff mission, the Grenadian economy was given a clean bill of health. To quote the release, the Grenadian economy continues to grow robustly, supported by the public and private sectors, construction, and sustained strong tourism activity. The authorities are advancing an ambitious fiscal reform agenda. Mr. Speaker, the contents of the release is not surprising to us. It speaks to our ability to prudently manage the affairs of this country. Allow me to elaborate. Mr. Speaker, We saved £16.4 million sterling out of a total of £22.9 million that was lost by the former administration under the Caribbean Infrastructure Partnership Facility, UKCIF, for the South St. George Water Sewage Expansion Project and the Western Main Road Corridor Project due to poor implementation. Mr. Speaker, this is an indisputable fact, and despite all the evidence to support this, the members on the other side continue to spew lies and propaganda on this matter. We successfully negotiated $100 million from the Saudi Development Fund for the Climate Smart project at an interest rate of 1.5%, not the 1.75 spoken by the other side, with a grace period of 7 years and a repayment terms of 25 years. Mr. Speaker, this loan is highly concessional, and so far, through our prudent approach, we have secured the most favorable terms and conditions in the region. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, we were able to successfully negotiate the inclusion of a hurricane and pandemic clause in the agreement. In other words, Grenada has the benefit of suspending payments for a reasonable period to allow the economy to recover in the event of an economic disruption from a natural hazard or pandemic without the loan going into default. Mr. Speaker, since 2015, Grenada is rated as in debt distress by the international financial institutions. Furthermore, Grenada has a credit rating of selective default. This position stems from the debt arrears owing to Libya, Algeria, and Trinidad and Tobago of approximately $40 billion US, which the past administration failed to resolve. Mr. Speaker, we have successfully negotiated the resolution of the US $5 million of this amount owing to Libya as we work towards improving Grenada creditworthiness. We are working on the restructuring of the Trinidad and Tobago and Algeria arrears so that we can remove the selected default credit rating. This administration successfully negotiated US $30 million in budgetary support from the World Bank in July of this year at a zero interest rate, 10 years grace, and 40 years to repay based on the satisfactory completion of a suite of structural reforms. $5 million of this amount has been earmarked to complete the Fort George project. Mr. Speaker, you will never hear the naysayers speak of this. Mr. Speaker, the structural reforms include transitioning NADBA to a statutory body to strengthen its ability to respond to disaster and climate-related emergencies and to build our resilience to climate-related events. The establishment of the Unemployment Insurance Fund at the National Insurance came to allow persons to become unemployed and to claim and be paid unemployment benefits. Mr. Speaker, as mentioned earlier, this administration is making contribution into a rainy day fund at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank of 10% of the National Transformation Fund receipts. Mr. Speaker, we implemented second economic and fiscal policies within months, something the former administration could not do in decades. We were told that the bi-monthly payments was a press of the button. For decades, nothing happened, which is the hallmark of the legacy of poor implementation. When we announced this policy, they said it could not happen. In less than 1 year, public servants are happily receiving their twice-monthly payments. Mr. Speaker, to drive economic activity, we introduced new concessions to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and for non-priority projects. Additionally, we strengthened the fiscal planning authority to reduce the huge backlog of applications we inherited. Furthermore, we reduced the government fees to register a company by 50%. To tackle the impact of food and fuel inflation on the population, especially the less fortunate, we implemented a suite of relief measures, including a 50% cut in VAT on electricity, a $10 electricity subsidy for poor households, removal of VAT on 19 basic food and other essential items, temporary removal of the petrol tax from 5,050 cents for a period of 3 months, and subsequently implemented a lower rate of $3.50. Mr. Speaker, tell me if this is not the attitude of a caring, proactive, and responsible government. Mr. Speaker, We maintain fiscal discipline by spending within our means. The primary surplus of the grant is estimated at 7.6% of GDP this year, compared to a flow of 3.5%. To further demonstrate our commitment to fiscal prudence while creating the necessary fiscal space to meet the needs of our nation, we strengthen our fiscal framework through the new Fiscal Resilience Act. We have met our commitments to our workers, the private sector, and our creditors on a timely basis, resulting in no unpaid claims above the standard credit period of 6 years. We have borrowed consistently with our debt management strategy, which focuses primarily on borrowing on concessional terms. Our efforts to improve the administration and collection of taxes have resulted in a record revenue performance in 2023. Mr. Speaker, I can go on and on and on, but in the interest of time, more details will be left for the debate. Modernizing labor relations. Mr. Speaker, recognizing the crucial importance of good governance, relations, and industrial peace, this administration has taken concrete steps to demonstrate our commitment in this regard, including addressing the minimum wage. A new minimum wage order will come into effect in January of 2024. The speedy resolution of the industrial dispute and the amicable negotiation and settlement of salaries and fringe benefits with public workers. In 2024, we will work even more diligent to further strengthen the labor market, including through the enactment of a revised labor code, financing the governance of state bodies. Mr. Speaker, we have made tremendous progress in enhancing the financial and operational performance and governance of our over 30 statutory bodies, state-owned enterprises, and commissions. Details of the performance of statutory bodies and state-owned enterprises can be found in Section 2.3 of the Medium-Term and Fiscal Strategy Report 2024 to 2026. That is laid as part of the appropriation bill. Mr. Speaker, that said, it will be remiss of me not to say a few words on the major shift in the governance framework of these bodies. As of today's date, 100 directors have completed the Directors' Education and Accreditation Program of the Corporate Governance Institute of Canada, facilitated by the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange, ECSC. Mr. Speaker, under the former administration, not only were directors selected, but largely on who they vote for. They were never equipped to take on these important roles. Our approach is a significant pivot from those previous policies that led to the likes of the MNIB and other failed statutory bodies. Moreover, our policy regarding the governance of state bodies is guided by competence, youth participation, and gender equality. Prioritizing the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, our focus for 2024 is the advancement of our Halls of Justice project. The scope of this project has been expanded to include the building of a Hall of Justice in Carriacou. Preparatory works are ongoing, and we look forward to advancing the work in the coming year. An allocation of $2 million is budgeted for the continuation of this project in 2024. Citizen safety and national security. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to work diligently to maintain Grenada's reputation as one of the safest places in the region and the world to work and live. The focus for 2024 will be on the following: strengthen the human resource capabilities of the police, prisons, and other national security institutions through the hiring and training of new recruits for the RGPF to achieve the full strength of 1,200 personnel, and the hiring of a human resource specialist and a planner for the RGPF to improve the use of human resources. The introduction of the CCTV cameras across the public space and other vulnerable spots across Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, along with legislation to allow the use of footage as evidence in court proceedings. Amendments to the Firearms Act in the first quarter of 2024 to provide much stiffer penalties for persons convicted of possession, trading, and use of illegal arms. Strengthening of community policing, provisions of counseling service to address post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and offer comprehensive psychological support toward dedicated law enforcement personnel. Optimizing the operations of the RGPF by reevaluating the structure and eliminating non-essential departments to free up the RGPF resources and enhance its ability to fulfill its core function. Mr. Speaker, with respect to His Majesty's prisons, in addition to the strengthening human resource capacity, emphasis will be placed on infrastructure enhancement, enhancing rehabilitation efforts, and promoting the self-sufficiency within the prison system, reinvigorating the economy of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Mr. Speaker, advances have been made in the past year in advancing our transformative agenda in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Several major projects have been completed or nearing completion. One such significant development is the 800 kilowatt solar PV project with battery storage which will displace 60% of the diesel used to generate electricity for Carriacou, saving significant foreign exchange. This project will be launched in January of 2024, generating a significant employment opportunities on the East Isle. We thank the government of the United Arab Emirates for this gracious donation. Mr. Speaker, I want to mention another significant development. The Cabinet recently approved additional responsibility to the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique in the management of their affairs. Mr. Speaker, a major initiative for the Carriacou and Petit Martinique is the development of an undersea museum and sculptural park, which will add significant culture, artistic, and touristic value to our already beautiful sister isle. Accordingly, the budget for Carriacou and Petit Martinique for 2024 has increased from 22.8 million to 33.4 million, an increase of 10.6 million relative to the 23 allocation. The Minister of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs will elaborate on the key interventions for 2024. Prioritizing foreign policy. Mr. Speaker, we are taking a purposeful approach to foreign policy in support of our transformative agenda. Significant strides have been made in the appointment, training, and installation of our personnel across our missions globally. In addition to the consulate in Dubai, we will establish a High Commission in Ottawa, the political capital of Canada, an embassy in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and we have begun establishing diplomatic relations with several African countries. The Minister of Foreign Affairs will provide further details on developments in this area. Mr. Speaker, diaspora affairs is another critical aspect of our strategy, having already established a Grenada Diaspora Advisory Council and the appointment of an ambassador of diaspora affairs. Thematic Area 4, enhancing climate resilience, environmental sustainability, and renewable energy. Mr. Speaker, we acknowledge the escalating and devastating risk posed by climate change to our way of life and livelihoods. We remain resolute to our commitment to combating climate change, not only through our own efforts, but also through advocacy and strategic alliances. Under this pillar, I wish to elaborate on the following key areas: supporting electricity transitioning, greening up the transport sector, geothermal development project, transformative physical infrastructure, supporting electricity transitioning. Mr. Speaker, government is exploring every opportunity to transition the electricity sector towards renewable energy as far as it's practicable, including using solar, geothermal, and wind energy. A major opportunity exists to develop two major solar farms, one at the Maurice Bishop International Airport and the other at Pearls and St. Andrews. Combined, these sites have a potential to generate at least 17 megawatts of solar generated power backed by battery storage. Concessional funding has been identified for this major development and is expected to come on stream next year. greening the transport sector. Mr. Speaker, to further support the greening of the transport sector, we will remove all duties, taxes, and fees on the importation of electrical vehicles, as well as charging stations. Furthermore, we will only charge 25% duties, taxes, and fees on hybrid vehicles, providing additional incentives for individuals and businesses. Mr. Speaker, government also lead by example in transitioning its existing fleet of vehicles to electrical vehicles or hybrid vehicles. Accordingly, government will target 100% of all vehicles purchased next year to be electrical or hybrid vehicles. Geothermal development project. Mr. Speaker, we remain committed to moving ahead with our efforts to develop a 15 megawatts geothermal plant on 2 sites in our rural community. This project will bring significant opportunities to parishes of St. John and St. Patrick. Work is ongoing with support grant through the Caribbean Development Bank and the Government of New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, we are actively pursuing additional grant funding to cover the initial phase of this project leading up to the resource determination stage. An amount of $3.6 million will be budgeted for this project in 2024. Transformative fiscal infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to focus on building the necessary physical infrastructure, including through leveraging public-private partnership that will support and propel our nation into a new era of sustainable growth and development. In this vein, we are continuing to explore the feasibility for a major road infrastructure project that will transform the economic and social architecture of the western corridor from St. George to St. Patrick, reducing the travel time by more than half. That notwithstanding, government will undertake the rehabilitation of the existing western main road, focusing on a reduced scope, specifically addressing resurfacing of the existing road and straightening hairpin corners. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister with responsibility for infrastructure will speak to the major infrastructure, physical infrastructure projects such as the climate change infrastructure project, the Grenada climate resilient water sector project GCRUISE, the cliff rehabilitation project Springs/Woodlands to Cliff/Munjali Junction, the South St. George Water and Sewage Expansion Project, the Grenada Resilience Improvement Project, GRIP, the Caribbean Efficient and Green Energy Building Project, the St. John's River Flood Mitigation Project, the Coastal Protection for the Shoreline of Sauters Bay, and the Molina Landslip Rehabilitation, among others. Mr. Speaker, these projects are expected to generate hundreds of construction jobs and support the further reduction in the unemployment rate. Economic reforms. Mr. Speaker, this budget is responsive to the near-term challenges as well as the longer-term development needs of our nation. In this section, I will elaborate on the reform of existing policies to enhance long-term growth and competitiveness and relief measures to reduce already the impact of inflation on the population. Structural policies. Mr. Speaker, to support our transformative agenda, the following structural reforms will be implemented in 2024. A review of the current driver's licensing framework to include reducing the age category for D-class licenses and above, as well as facilitating the provision of training for drivers of heavy equipment and truck. Mr. Speaker, this policy seeks to address bottlenecks in the construction and agriculture sector, where machine operators and young farmers who are in the most fruitful years of their lives, between 18 and 25 years of age, are legally barred from operating certain vehicles and heavy equipment, creating unnecessary labor shortage. These policies should be implemented by the first quarter of 2024. Drivers with a minimum of 5 years of driving experience will be eligible for a non-exam based upgrade. This policy would provide opportunities for skilled and experienced drivers to pay to upgrade their license to drive a higher class of vehicle without having to do an exam. While not While not the main objective, this policy is also expected to generate some additional revenues. Vehicle dealership license fee will be amended as follows: $10,000 per year or $1,000 per vehicle. The problem that this policy seeks to address is the disparity in treatment between the licensed dealers and the non-licensed dealers, as well as addressing the concerns where a small licensed dealer will be required to pay $10,000 per year if he imports 2 vehicles compared to a larger dealer requiring to pay the same amount for 40 vehicles per year. Vehicle license fee to be increased by $50 across all vehicles type to support the improved road maintenance. Mr. Speaker, the number of vehicles on our nation's road have increased significantly in the last 10 years, necessitating increased cost of road maintenance. The revenues collected from the policy, roughly $2.6 million, will go towards supporting road maintenance. Amendments to the procurement legislation by March 2024 to allow single sourcing of work, goods, and consultancy service up to $100,000. Mr. Speaker, the procurement framework is currently under review. While this is ongoing, we are of the considered view that the amendment to raise the current single source threshold from $15,000, which has been in effect for almost 10 years, is warranted. To strengthen the procurement framework by implementing e-government procurement, updating the current legal framework, and benchmarking the current process against best practices. Mr. Speaker, this policy reflects our effort to improve procurement function, to increase transparency and boost the efficiency of procurement and the economy more broadly. Review of subsidies paid to international bodies to ensure clear values/benefits for the subscription paid to those bodies to ensure value for money. Mr. Speaker, this policy supports our efforts to rationalize expenditure and reduce wastage. An independent committee will be appointed to develop a framework for compensation of salary, fringe benefits for cabinet ministers and senior managers. Mr. Speaker, the current framework wherein salaries of cabinet ministers and permanent secretaries are tied to the outcome of union negotiation is not good practice. For citizens 18 years and over, passport will now be issued for 10 years, and for citizens under 18 years for 5 years. Mr. Speaker, this policy seeks to increase the security of our passport while at the same time making it less cumbersome and frequent for passport renewal. The non-printing of more than 5 pages policy across the public service will further reinforce. Mr. Speaker, this policy was introduced last budget to support our digitalization and waste reduction efforts. We intend to make further progress on advancing this policy. Cost of living measures. Mr. Speaker, since assuming office, the government took proactive steps to tackle inflation, given our huge reliance on import goods. Mr. Speaker, our policy has brought significant relief to ordinary Grenadians, who otherwise would have faced significantly higher prices, especially on food and fuel. The sad reality is that inflation pressures are persistent, although they have eased considerably. That said, Mr. Speaker, government will do what is necessary for as long as it's necessary to shield citizens from devastating impact of high prices, especially on food and fuel and other necessities. In 2024, the following cost of living measures and other relief measures will be in effect. Government will remain and maintain and add to the VAT exempt status the following 20 basic food items and other necessities for a further period of 1 year, effective January 2024, to be reviewed in December 2024. Soya trunks, veggie patties, olive oil, canola oil, soya beans oil, sunflower oil, coconut oil, red kidney beans, black eyed peas, lentil peas, hand sanitizer, adult diapers, baby diapers, toothpaste, mouthwash, toilet papers and inputs for local manufacturing of toilet papers, liquid, bath and gel, soap, and hand soap. Laundry soap, bars, liquid, and powder. All female sanitary hygiene products, including sanitary napkins, tampons, and panty liners, and condoms. In addition, Mr. Speaker, government will place all the above listed products that are currently not on the price control list on the price control list for active monitoring by the Price Consumer Affairs Division to ensure that consumers do not suffer from wholesale or retailers engaging in price gouging on these items. The wholesale or retail markup will be determined after consultation with industry stakeholders. Government will maintain the fixed price of $40 on the 20-pound gas cylinder. The total estimated revenue foregone for the two above measures is $5.5 million. We will maintain the reduced rate of petrol tax at $3.50 per gallon instead of the $5.50 on duty-paid sales at an estimated foregone revenue of $18.8 million. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we'll maintain electricity subsidies of $10 per month for all residential consumers up to 99 kilowatts per month at an estimated cost of $2.4 million. Mr. Speaker, the total package of targeted and impactful relief measures will cost more than $26.7 million. Conclusion. Mr. Speaker, this budget is a budget by the people and for the people. The most vulnerable workers of our nation will benefit from the minimum wage increase come January 2024. The private sector will benefit from the spin-off effects of our projects and programs as well as our policies, such as the expansion of temporary incentives to macro, small, and medium-sized enterprise and non-priority sector projects. Our young people in the MNIB programs who are working in the public sector will benefit from an increase in their minimum monthly pay to $1,200 per month and an improvement in the security of tenure and their placement on government contracts pending full regularization to the public service. Our students and parents will benefit from free tuition and free meals program, which will cost government close to $6 million in 2024. Our less fortunate household will benefit from improved water and sanitation through the WASH program. Mr. Speaker, our elderly over 65 years who are on the SEED program will benefit from an increase of an additional $200 per month to cover their medical and other expenses. Our citizens with disabilities, including mental illness, who are on the SEED program will also benefit from additional $200 to support their upkeep. Mr. Speaker, our policies, projects, and programs in this budget will create significant employment opportunities for the benefit of those who are currently unemployed. Our citizens, particularly our less fortunate, will benefit from our cost of living relief measures on food and fuel. Mr. Speaker, our public servants will benefit from a 4% increase in their salaries, as well as our policy on staff regularization. Our workers on contract will benefit from regularization and a contributory pension plan. Mr. Speaker, these are examples of the ways in the 2024 budget will tangibly impact the citizen next year. Mr. Speaker, as I close, I once again give thanks to God Almighty for many blessings bestowed upon us this past year. Our journey to transform our beautiful country, which started roughly 18 months ago, is bearing abundant fruit. We continue to lay a solid foundation for the future prosperity. The harmony that our nation has witnessed in the past year has not been seen in decades. Our economy is growing robustly, and investor confidence remains high. Our citizens are finding employment to sustain their livelihoods. We continue to provide safety nets for our less fortunate. There is a renewed sense of hope in our nation and people. Mr. Speaker, as a government, we feel proud of our stewardship and are energized to continue to work for the people of Grenada. We remain humble, recognizing that our success are of God, as we reflect on the words of Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, and I quote, "But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount upon with wings like eagles, and they shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint endlessly." Mr. Speaker, as we recognize the need for continued efforts to ensure that all who can work find employment, and that no one, our young people, our elderly, persons with disabilities, our less fortunate, is left behind. That collectively, as a nation, we aspire, build, and advance. As we look forward to the next 50 years, we call for unity as a nation, for it is written in the Holy Scriptures in Mark chapter 3, verse 25. "If a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand." Let us unite and build Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. We owe this much to our future generations of Grenadians to leave behind better than what we inherited. The people of Grenada has given the National Democratic Congress administration the strong mandate to lead this nation in the most exciting period in our history as we reflect on the 50 years and look forward ahead to the next 50. We reaffirm our commitment to work in your interest in 2024 under the theme Grenada at 50, empowering our people, transforming our nation. Let us unite and build Grenada. Let us put Grenada first. Acknowledgements. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me if I did not take this opportunity to thank all our friends and partners who have helped us through our journey. As you can appreciate, our list of acknowledgements is extremely long. Therefore, a detailed list can be found in Appendix 2 of this statement. Permit me to, however, to mention just a few. We cannot thank enough the Creator. Allow me to reiterate sincere gratitude to the Prime Minister and my cabinet colleagues. We are a great team of men and women who love Grenada and are committed to serving you. I wish to also thank all those who contributed to the preparation and presentation of the 2024 budget and accompanying documents, including staff of the various ministries and departments, statutory bodies, state-owned enterprise, and all other public officers. Permit me to especially thank the permanent secretaries, advisors, and staff of the Ministry of Finance who have worked tirelessly in the past year in less than ideal working environment. I must also mention the Attorney General and the staff, the Cabinet Secretary, the Press Secretary, and many others who played various roles in the budget preparation process. I wish to record my thanks to you, Mr. Speaker, and the Clerk of Parliament and his staff, who have given me full support in facilitating the delivery of my presentation. Mr. Speaker, finally, allow me to reiterate my appreciation to my constituents of St. Patrick East for their support and confidence in my representation in this honorable House. Thank you, and may God continue to bless us all.